So I'm not really going to do too much of a demonstration of different techniques that you can use. There's loads of videos out there on YouTube about different techniques, and you'll have the patterns written out quite clearly in the packs. So you should have plenty to get started on, and I've listed in the description some really good YouTube videos. For example, if you're a beginner knitter, the one there is very clear and should get you going with that. But I did think I'd just show you a few things around crochet, which in a way, if you haven't done anything knitting wise or haven't picked up knitting or crochet for a while, it's often a good starting point. Now, crocheting. Well, I realised that actually my crochet technique wasn't what you see on a YouTube video. And when I started to crochet in our Wild About Wool Tuesday nights, Gail, who's our knit nurse there, she said, "Oh, you crochet like you knit." And that was because I was holding my yarn in my right hand, holding my stick in my right hand, and crocheting just like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with this way of crocheting, and we are great believers that you should do what you're most comfortable with in terms of your knitting technique. If it works for you, it works. But technically, crocheting like this is not the proper way to crochet, and it does kind of make your crochet a little bigger, I think. A friend of mine came bowling up to me at an event a couple of weeks ago and said, "Now, Jill, crochet. I want to ask you something." And I knew immediately what she was going to ask me, and I was right. It was about crocheting like this. So I did a little bit of a test for something I was making for the yarn bombing, and I did some crochet my way and the proper way. And my way does come out a bit looser with not quite such a tight stitch going on. There we go. And the proper way is a little bit denser, perhaps a little bit neater. But as I say, whatever is comfortable for you to do, the most important thing is that you're doing it. So we're going to be using those in a mo. Your basic crochet. So now I'm going to do it the proper way because I've been practicing. You hold your wool into your left hand. I wind it round because it gives a bit of tension. So I've wound my wool round my little finger and my forefinger like that, and then holding on to your crochet at the bottom just to give that a bit of tension. You can see there how I'm able to give tension to the stitch. I'm just going to give myself and then you're wrapping your yarn around the stick like that and pulling it through the hole like that, and this is called a chain stitch, and most motifs will start off with a chain stitch. Okay, and it looks like that, and that's your basic chain. Now, this is really useful for yarn bombing because you can use this to create your string for your bunting, and you can attach your bunting as it goes along. And down here we've got the mitered squares, which I showed you before, and you can see that they have been joined together using a chain stitch bunting. And then as you get to the bunting piece itself, the crochet hook is just poked into a bit of the stitch. you pull your yarn through and then you pull that through. So you're just literally chaining it into the top of the mitered square there, and then count, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, about a dozen stitches that makes there. So just keep a note of what that is so that you keep it nice and even. Then you're crocheting across the top, 12 stitches, crochet across the top. So a really nice, neat, easy way of joining your bunting, just using crocheted chain stitch. But you don't have to crochet across the whole of your bunting. I mean, it works very well with regular squares, but remembering the washing line motifs that we had, here we've got some jumpers hanging up on the line, and you can see here, same thing, chain stitch, but then just caught in one place across the shoulders there, as if it is pegged onto the washing line. Again, a little bit of a longer chain going on there, possibly about 20 chains I should think there, and then just caught on the shoulders. So that gives you much more of a sort of washing line look to your bunting. So let's just have a look at doing that. So we've got our chain starter there, pop that back through into the hook, and so now I want to add a garment onto my knitting here, onto my chain. So I've got a pair of little trousers here, so literally finding a little hole in the top, in the knitting, in the top of your motif that you're going to do. Now let's do this properly, Jill, with the correct technique. So I'm taking my yarn into my left hand, tensioning it up. I've put my hook into the motif, and I'm just going to bring it through that same hole. Oops, I'm going to do that again. That's it, through there. So now I've got 2 little stitches on my hook. So I'm just going to bring that stitch through so that it's hooked onto the garment, and then you chain away and to get to the other side of the garment, and you can see, oh, let's just put it there because I think you can see a little bit easier, chaining away till you get to the other side of the trousers. I'll give that a bit of a test, and maybe another couple. So this is something that you can do very easily in front of the telly, and it's I have to say, one of the joys of knitting and crocheting is that you can sit relaxed on your sofa with the telly on, but you're doing something, you're creating something, you're not just sitting there, well, that's just great. It's a relaxation, turns your brain off. And there'll be more about that in my next Wild About Wool vlog, which is all about well-being. Anyway, I've reached the other side of my trousers, so I'm now going to put my crochet hook in to where I want it to be. I'm going to bring that yarn back through that little hole there. So I've got 2 stitches on, and then I'm going to bring that one through the stitch there. And there I have attached my trousers to the washing line, and then you carry on with however many stitches you want in between before you get to your next garment. So that's a way of starting to put your knitted motifs together.